2:33. We're a little late, but we're also a little light in attendance, so I figure we'll start anyway. We don't have anything to vote on till closer to the end. Hi, Linda. So I'll have Erica send out, or is Mary sending out? The attendance, the attendance is out, so if you got it electronically, please take attendance. Come on in, Sabrina, it's fine. If you did not get it, that means you're not a voting senator, so feel free to sign in on the sheet in front, either now or on your way out later on. All right. Well, so happy back to school, right? September 13th. It's been a full week. I was sending out a message to my students today and trying to figure out how long it's been, but it's been exactly a week today since the semester began. Drop ad ended yesterday. So all of our class rosters should be set now, and everything's going to be in full swing. I don't know about you. We are transitioning to Brightspace, and it has been some challenges here and there. I have Pat Ryan on the agenda for later on to talk about it, but he is unable to make it today. So just so everyone is aware, on Brightspace, the email function is currently not working the way it's supposed to be working, and that is, let's see if I can get there. It doesn't want to let me go there anyway. Here we go. There we go. So when you're in Brightspace, I feel like this is how my classroom was yesterday, because I think the heat got turned on, and so then everything started working very slowly, and then my brain also started working very slowly. And so I felt like, I think that's one of those memes, you hurry up and you wait. So anyway, here it is. The email function is up at the top. It's message alerts. You'll notice that mine is currently blank. But I have somehow gotten some messages to my Outlook, but because they're blank here, I can't reply to my students through Brightspace. And if you get a message through Brightspace, you cannot reply to that either, because it goes off into space. So I just want to recommend for the time being, and please know that we are working on this, and this is not just a SUNY Erie problem, this is a SUNY-wide issue. Hey, Marianne, come on in. At the bottom, you can have the option of doing announcements. So I posted an announcement in all of my Brightspace classes saying that if they're having any issue, and obviously if I'm not getting back to them, just to email me directly at my webmail address. So I want to strongly recommend that that is the temporary fix for right now. So be aware that your students might be emailing you, and you might not be getting them, and they also might not be getting your replies. It's a temporary thing for now. Roberta?
Just to confirm, if I got an email that looks like it came from Brightspace and I respond to it from my Outlook, they didn't get it?
Correct. So it'll show up, let's see. So for example, here's a class, an email I got from a student, and it'll say the notification on the bottom. So if you reply to that, it'll say, and it says, my class, and so it's obviously from Brightspace, and there is on the bottom the disclaimer that if you reply to that, they will not get that message. But also that message that the student sent me, for example, is not listed in my messages on Brightspace either. There's some sort of disconnect happening, and so our DL team is working on it with Suny right now, so just please be aware and reach out to your students sooner than later to let them know that this is an issue, because of course, as we know, this at the beginning of the semester is very cumbersome for everyone, and being a fall semester, it's the beginning of school for many of our students, so learning online, Brightspace, not being Blackboard, all these things are brand new, and I'm sure frustration levels are just as high for our students as they might be for us with these situations, so reach out to your students sooner than later to let them know that this is an issue and give them an avenue to reach you if they need you. And with that, that's the Brightspace. We have a distance learning meeting on Thursday, so hopefully we'll learn a little bit more and we'll have some more answers. And then as we learn more, our team will be communicating out to the college community as our answers, come about. Michael?
Colleen, while you have your My ECC page up with technology, is the Starfish issue with the rosters fixed as of yet? It wasn't this morning for me. We got the email for the NA roster, the third week NA, and it says due by the 25th. Is the issue going to fix itself, or what do we do with the NA roster if Starfish isn't working by then?
That's a great question. Andy Anesi is not here today to talk about Starfish. Amy Yoder?
The roster should be loading into the system correctly. We have verified it. So if you're having an issue for some reason, just put an ITS ticket in, but we did verify that all the courses and rosters have come over.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
And
we're
I
up
was
and
able
running.
to take attendance yesterday for my Monday classes, and I was able to go back through last week's attendance to update the attendance from last week because the rosters last week weren't there yet. Jason?
I was just going to say I was able to do the same thing today, catch up with last week, put in my stuff for today. So it seemed fine to me.
Beautiful. Thank you. All these extra last minute things and it's like off, but it's one of the things that, here we are. And I know people viewing on YouTube, you can't see my screen. It's something that it's just not possible with the way we do our technology right now. But something I wanted to point out, something that we haven't done as a college in a while, is to celebrate our faculty and staff and a lot of our achievements. So I just wanted to share, we had some retirements. We had several retirements, but we had 5 retirements from the College Senate. Individuals that have been with us from the get-go and the start of Senate and have put in countless time and effort in all of our endeavors at the College Senate. And then we also haven't recognized people for years of service in a while. And so I, with the help of HR and Connie, thank you, Connie. You are a wizard and a star for getting the information for me. But we've had people at this college here for over 40 years. And here's some of them are. I know there's some in every department. And I looked through some of these names, and either they were senators or they were officers for their unions and just have done so many tremendous things for the college. And there's more than just one page. Jason Steinitz, right in the center there, over 40 years, one of our like my Senate, every time I have a question, I ask Jason. We also had people hit 40 this year. We had 3 people. So we had Lenora Darden, Remy Orfeo, and Andy Sacco hit 40 this year. We have lots of people over 30. The very talented Gail Frazier in the president's office, who keeps everybody's things in line and keeps us together. Cindy Ludlow in the registrar's office, who was going to retire and she didn't, and she keeps everything working smoothly for us at South Campus. And just so many people in the different departments. And this is across the college. It's not just faculty. It's faculty, staff, all 4 unions who work at the college. We have 3 pages of over 40 or over 30 years for different people on here. And again, I looked through these names, and so many of them have worked with us hand in hand in all the different initiatives of the College Senate and the college in general. Some more over 30, Mary Ann Partee. Yeah. All right, and we had 3 people hit 30 this year. Gordy in the back hit 30. Thank you, Gordy. Viola Quay. And then, I'm sorry, Azupiki from Social Science. 25 plus. And again, we got some of our senators here, some Senate exec, Sabrina Kane, Dr. Sabrina Kane over there. What did I just do? I blew it up. There we go. Oh, I did it again. There, I'll just do that. Over 20 years. This is several pages of over 20 years. Again, lots of senators and things on there. 4 pages, 5 of over 20 years. That's because it was on 2 pages, and Dave Uzinski is a wizard at technology and fixed it up for me so that we could actually see some of the names a little bit more clearly. And then we had a bunch of people hit 20 years as well, which is quite the achievement. Bob Germoni hit 20 years this year. Thank you, Bob, in the back. And then I also included a few people on here that are going to be hitting 20 by the end of this semester, because I think that's also something worth celebrating with all of our faculty and staff. And there were so many names of people that have been here and worked and contributed to the college for over 20 years that it was going to take too much time for me to try to figure out the collective amount of time spent here at the college, but just centuries of expertise and education and working for our students and for our community. And all of these people are who we are, what we are for our students, and what we are as a college and a community. And I just wanted to say thank you to everyone on there. I will be posting this to our College Senate site, and also, of course, obviously sending it out in the Senate email at the end of the week so that everyone can see all of the people who've had such tremendous contributions to our college. One other thing, I don't know if you knew this, but we have an NFL player who is a former Suny Erie grad who had his very first NFL touchdown Sunday night and with the Chiefs, Jody Forston. I linked to an article in the Buffalo News. I watched the game on Sunday. It was awesome. It also was great because Tom Brady was the competing quarterback for my fantasy football league, and that they did not do well, so I had lots of reasons to cheer. So I won my fantasy football game this week, so that was great. But watching one of our former students who was a South Park graduate in the city of Buffalo, and then he came to Suny Erie, played ball for us, and now he's in the NFL. It's just awesome, awesome stuff. I wanted to make sure that I pointed that out for everybody. So again, I just want to thank you to all of our members of the college and your awesome work. Thank you very much. I'm going to clap to the camera. You guys are amazing. Thank you for making us who we are and who we are to our community. So with that, there's a few other things. There is an open house coming up. It's in October. It's October 16th. But I want to make sure that we point that out now because the next College Senate meeting is a couple days before that meeting.
It's actually Wednesday, October 19th.
Okay. 3 people are talking at the same time.
Wednesday, October. Go ahead.
Okay. One of you say it in a microphone.
It's October 19th.
19th. Okay, it's October 19th. The correct date is posted on the Senate site, and it is at all 3 campuses from 5 to 7 p.m. on the 19th. And again, we're announcing today because the next College Senate meeting is several days beforehand, and we want to make sure that you have this information out there already so that you can share it within your departments and your communities. There are flu clinics that are coming to each campus. It came out in an email from the Dean of Students office and from Amy Yoder. I also posted it on the Senate site. But those are going to be, well, let's see, there's one today at North Campus, but there's one tomorrow at South and one at City at Thursday. If you have insurance, this is for faculty, staff, and students. It's for everyone. Again, if you have your insurance card, you just walk right over. It's super easy, super quick. I go do it every year because otherwise I forget, and then it's December and I'm sick. So get it done early. Stay ahead of it. And let's see, Andy Anesi was not able to be here either. As Michael Higgins pointed out, with Starfish, there was an email that went out earlier today with third week rosters and never attends. They need to be done in Starfish manually by September 24th. There are directions, and they are posted. And I want to just also state that with the never attends, this isn't just another, check the box thing that we have to do. This is something that benefits our students. All right, so if students don't attend and we mark them as never attends, then later on, once they get a bill, if we mark them as never attended, then they're not going to be responsible for that bill. And that's very important because you know what? Life happens. We know that our students, we're not getting a bunch of 18-year-olds coming right out of high school. We are, but we're also getting adults, and we're getting adults with children and adults with full-time jobs. And things come up. And if those things that come up are paying your own personal bills, taking care of your own family, then you know what? School might go on the back burner, and you might forget to drop your classes and things like that. And then, if we don't mark them as never attended, these students get a bill, and then they're held and they're hooked on the line for paying this bill. Or then they have to go through and they have to dispute it, and it's this whole process. So it really is something very helpful for our students if we take the couple of minutes to mark a student as never attended. I spoke with Cindy Ludlow many semesters, and when we always verify this, that if you mark a student as never attended, and then they come back and they say, I'm sorry, I meant to be here, X, Y, and Z happened, can I please still attend? You as the instructor could be like, yeah, you know what? No problem. Send a quick email to the registrar's office and boom, they're right back in their class. So it's not gonna harm them by marking them as NA on the third week roster. Adium.
Thank you. I completely agree with you, but I think one of the things that we are hoping to do is that we contact those students who have not sat in our classes first. I think faculty and certainly our support staff could assist with that. So if you have a list of students who have not attended as of last week, and you email them, let us know if there's a way that we can help. Because quite often, a lot of times our students don't always check their email. We have the ability to text them. We have the ability to make phone calls and remind them. Now, it could be a situation to everything that you said, Colleen, that this is not maybe the right time. But also, equally, it could be a situation where they may need to go part-time and stay with us. So we really want to be in front of it first. And then absolutely to everything what you said, Colleen, to make sure that we appropriately document. So anything that we could do, please email us, either the provost or the enrollment office, to minimize the never attend before we say they're never attend.
All right, so anyone who's contacted your students, you still don't hear from them, send the provost office and the enrollment office an email. Amy?
I just want to put something out there. We do see students in the counseling office every semester who did attend and were dropped for non-attendance because they weren't doing well or they missed multiple classes. I would just encourage the non-attend to really be non-attend because those students end up messing up their financial aid. It becomes a huge mess. So I just, in defense of those students, I just, would hope it would truly be a non-attend situation.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Michael Higgins?
In response to that, I was just wondering, I was going to ask, suppose I have 9 classes before I fill out the NA by September 24th or 25th. If a student appears the first day and not for the remaining 8 sessions before I turn this in, I can't mark them NA. If I have emailed them, texted them, everything, I believe I should have the right to mark them NA, even if I only seen them once.
I feel like that's at the discretion of the instructor. Oh, you got it. There we go.
So that's a great question. And, frankly, what we're really trying to do is to catch students and notify them, as Adiam just mentioned. So again, the end game here, obviously, marking them correctly is going to help everyone ensure that they don't get burdened with financial challenges that they can't address. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is get people back into the classrooms, engaged with the courses. So I do think you should be marking them NA, just to ensure that we're, giving them the benefit of the doubt here as far as a financial opportunity to come back. But, throughout this thing, I'd hate to think that we're going to wait until the end of, the month or whatever to, again, reach out to the counselors or admissions or anybody. I know you all recognize the importance of being on top of this, but, I can't emphasize enough the importance of retention and our ability to kind of talk them through some of their current challenges. Now more than ever, people need wraparound help, wraparound services to understand how they can get through whatever they're challenged with at the current time. And, I know this is a group of people who have that expertise. We just have to go the extra mile. So thank you.
Yes.
If they are marked in Starfish, are they flagged? Do counselors reach out to them? We've had problems in the past in our department where we have flagged students and the flags have not been addressed until several weeks after that has happened. So our faculty just wanted to know if they flag them today, which they just came to me and said they have not been attending classes, how can we follow up? What do we do as faculty? Yes.
Amy?
Well, we have one counselor in our office right now at North Campus that manages Starfish. So, at this point, I think it's important that faculty have that conversation as well. I can't say that it's something that could be managed immediately. It's just.
So I'm going to tell my faculty that it's best that they follow up and not assume that a red flag is being addressed. Is that
Correct.
accurate? Okay.
Absolutely. All right. Kim. Yeah, you got to go to the microphone.
For the never attend students, would those 7.5-week classes be something to offer them if we're going to talk to them about possibly coming in, although they're starting off late?
So that's an option, but I think we need to be careful, right? Because if they didn't attend, perhaps there is some really issues that they're dealing with. And when we talk about the 7.5, the idea of the 7.5 is to make sure that those students are successful. So I think we need to really talk to the students and have that conversation. It's an advisement moment to make sure that makes sense with the students. So I would really do that on an individual basis.
Great, thank you. So as far as my report, that was quite a bit, but we actually checked off a few agenda items due to different restrictions of people's schedules and things. So I am going to turn it over to the President's report with Dr. Balkan. Sure.
So I actually made a list of things because I always leave here thinking, oh, I forgot to say this. But before I start, I just want to thank Colleen and all of you and welcome you back. If you weren't at the convocation, I thought it was a great session. I'm excited to be here. It's fun driving around North Campus and seeing all the cars in the parking lot and all the students walking around. We have such a great potential to have an amazing impact, a continuing impact and a growing impact. And, I can't thank you enough. I know that the past 6 months have been very difficult on everyone. And moving forward, what I'm very interested in doing is trying to put as much of it behind us as possible, streamline processes and procedures and minute taking and all that kind of stuff so that we're focused not on, effectively transcribing every word that happens in every meeting, but really focusing on the meat and potatoes of what has to happen, what was accomplished, and what the next steps are. Just so you're aware, we have subcommittee meetings with our Board of Trustees. I made an effort to say, look, we're not only going to reduce the number of subcommittee meetings so that they're not just every month, regardless of whether or not anything's getting accomplished. We're focused on doing things that are having an impact. So to that end, a lot of meetings are going to be scheduled as needed, as required. But also, we're going to leverage the fact that we have these monthly Board of Trustees meetings, and we have the experts who can stand up and in 10 minutes provide the same information they're providing in subcommittee meetings. Also, a tactic that I'm taking with respect to all the meetings that we feel like we need minutes for, last 5 or 10 minutes, I'm requiring that whoever the department lead is or the functional lead is takes the minutes during the session, and they just highlight in the last 5 or 10 minutes what are who attended the meeting, what are the key actions that were taken, and what's the follow-up that's required with owners. So again, it'll just streamline things. Amazingly, I came to learn over the last few weeks that some of the subcommittee meetings that we had were literally taking 12 hours for administrative assistants to transcribe, because they were trying to catch every word, and they were trying to, because they didn't understand the content, which is why it's so important that the functional leads take that responsibility and make sure that it's a streamlined effort. Before I go any further, I also want to take a minute to introduce Mike Barone for anyone who may not have been at the convocation, may not have met him. Mike is our Vice President of Marketing and Communications. And frankly, if you've seen anything, you should have seen a lot more ECC in the news, online. He's doing a fantastic job. He's energizing his organization. And I really want to encourage you to reach out to him. He's got an amazing bandwidth, and he's focused on trying to figure out how best to promote our college. And I'll tell you, there are a lot of great things to talk about in the press and on social media that need to be highlighted. I also wanted to talk about communication. We had a meeting last Friday for 3 hours with the IT services group. And what it really highlighted for me was I've been doing a terrible job keeping everybody apprised of what's going on. I've been assuming that people were getting the word through the senior executive staff or whoever, and the communication just hasn't been as clean and as crisp as I'd like it. So effective this month, last Tuesdays of every month at 2:30, I'm going to have a voluntary meeting, voluntary participation for staff and faculty to tie into a Zoom call or a WebEx call that Gail Frazier will schedule. And it will effectively enable me to kind of give 5-10 minutes of highlights, and then enable you to ask questions and allow me to answer questions to make sure we're on the same page. Also, it's also going to represent a great opportunity for us to bring in guest speakers. My goal is to tap into specialists throughout the country, candidly, who can tie in by Zoom or by WebEx and provide insights into how we might be doing things differently, more efficiently, better. So I'm looking forward to that. Please pass the word. You'll be getting invitations. It's kind of critical, more now than ever that we do that. And again, all this is, with the goal of trying to be much more efficient. Again, to take an hour or an hour and a half, one Tuesday out of the month to make sure that we're on the same page is critical. One thing that I also want to emphasize is I know how busy things can get. And one of the key things that I'm learning to try to help people with is figuring out how to prioritize those things that have the greatest impact. It's so easy in the current environment to be busy, but what we need to be is impactful. And, always, at the start of my day, candidly, the first thing I do when I wake up is I start thinking about the things I want to accomplish. And there's always going to be noise, there's going to be constant activity, but I keep in the forefront the things that I need to accomplish to help move the college forward. I just really want to encourage all of you to be thinking along those lines, because, it's so easy to get dragged down into emails and text messages, all that kind of stuff. When I actually read an article today that said that the average business person spends 2.5 hours on email a day. 2.5 hours. I sent a note to some of my senior executive staff and the union leaders talking about the fact that, Inc.com, which is a great magazine if you're into business, they always have these recommendations for how to do things more efficiently. If you're comfortable with it, I'm going to kind of forward some of those messages and ideas, but One of the ones that was highlighted today was this idea of ending every message with setting an expectation for when you need to hear back from somebody and why, rather than just having open-ended communications. Those types of things, they're small, but they kind of give insights into how we can do things better and more efficiently and not be hanging on our emails waiting for replies. So additionally, one thing that I've been saying from the time I've gotten here is the need to document processes. It's part and parcel with being efficient. And I know historically we've lost a lot of institutional knowledge because people have left before processes have been documented. Now more than ever, especially as we define new processes or new methodologies, we have to document them. And the reason we document them is so that we can refine them. And when you refine them, things keep getting better until you become world class. I'm sure I mentioned to you when I was at IBM, I ran world-class organizations, and the way they became world-class was through documentation and constantly refining the documentation. And if you catch an error, you make a footnote for an exception for a special case type of thing. So again, I can't emphasize that enough. I also want to talk about our future. And I think we're all wrestling with the fact that enrollment's going to be a challenge. It's been a challenge for the last 10 years. It's going to remain a challenge unless we do things differently. And when I say do things differently, it means recognize the fact that the demographics have changed. I think we're all painfully aware that the population throughout the world is actually declining. The population in the US is declining. The number of high school students is declining. But interestingly, the number of people who are between the ages of 22 and 34 who only have a high school education, just in the Western New York, is over 18,000. So, I mean, we have, or 120,000, I'm sorry, 120,000. So we have a great opportunity to help people with upskilling. And, frankly, as a community college, we're the prime organization in Western New York to help companies, individuals basically upskill. I've met now probably with 40 companies since I've been here over the past 7 months. And 201, they all want to collaborate with us. They want to do micro-credentials. They want to do for-credit, non-credit. They want us to help them define badging strategies to basically enable people to get recognized in the company, but not necessarily for credit. They're willing to work with us in every which way possible. And along those lines, one of the key things that we have to do is start really focusing on developing micro-credentials. I think in February, the first month I was here, Governor Hochul sent out a message on 2/15, an announcement stating that she wanted Suny to be the leader in micro-credentials in the United States. Nothing's changed. The only thing that's changed, candidly, is the demand for micro-credentials is skyrocketing. We have just a wildly great opportunity to have an impact in our community, in companies, in businesses with micro-credentials. So I just want to encourage you to start thinking about it. And when we talk about this, I want you to do more than think about it. I want you to meet with program advisory council members and find out what they're needing. Frankly, if you've got an advisory council for a program and they're not telling you something new and different, you probably need different advisory council members. Things have changed significantly, and we need to figure out how to engage the right people who are going to pull us and push us and help us move to the spot we need to be to have the greatest impact in this community. I can tell you, there's nobody who's going to be more relevant than us moving forward. We have to be relevant in order for the economy to be successful in Western New York. We're competing with every other mid-sized city in the United States for population. And consequently, we've got to get creative about how we address refugees, immigrants. I say it every time I stand up. We've got to figure out how to help them. Also wanted to highlight, the collaborations that I'm talking about aren't just with businesses. We're collaborating with Buff State. I'm having conversations with University of Buffalo. In fact, yesterday I had a meeting with the Dean of Engineering, Kemper Lewis, and 4 full-time professors who want to engage with us because they view us as the workforce development extension of every grant they do. I'm sure you're all aware that the CHIPS Act, the CHIPS and Science Act, was passed. Over $50 billion is going to be made available to help develop the semiconductor industry. Well, coincidentally, I came from the semiconductor industry. I spent over 25 years in the semiconductor industry. I know how to work with companies who are in the semiconductor industry, and the opportunity for us is fantastic. The people at SUNY Erie are really excited about tapping into our clean room, leveraging it for us to train students on how to use clean rooms, how to use certain equipment in the clean room. Right now, just so you have an appreciation, SUNY Erie also has, University of Buffalo also has a clean room, but they're actually turning students away from classes because they don't have room in their clean room to teach everything they need. So, there's just a ton of opportunity, and we need to figure out how to leverage it. Along those lines, recognizing that every NSF grant requires a community engagement component, we should be that community engagement component for every University of Buffalo proposal that goes to the NSF. I mean, there's literally no reason to be. When I was with Ivy Tech in Indiana, I had this relationship with the University of Notre Dame where I had faculty from the humanities, sciences, engineering. Everyone came to our college to try to figure out how to structure an engagement to enable these proposals. So just keep that in mind and have an open mind about how to best do that. I talked about our advisory councils. I can't emphasize enough, as we're developing micro-credentials, again, it can't be stuff that we're pulling off the shelf. It's got to be stuff that people are asking for. And it may be already on the shelf, which would be great, but our focus has to be ensuring that we're providing relevant training and educational opportunities. Also, for those of you who are at convocation, I mentioned the extension, the $150 million extension to TAP. Make no mistake, that was targeting community colleges. It basically enables students who can only take 6 credit hours to get financial aid through TAP. This is brand new. Before you had to take 12 credit hours. This is a fantastic opportunity for us, and it's part of the reason why I think Adiam's point about catching people and finding out, are you stopping out of all your classes? Can you stay in 2 classes? Is there a way we can keep, our hooks in them so that they have a potential for success? I'll tell you, once they leave, it's hard to get them back. And, as you're well aware, we lose more in the first 15 credit hours than we do for the rest of their careers typically. So anything you can do on that front would be greatly appreciated. And finally, one thing I'd like us all to think about, and we're talking about Starfish and the importance of attendance and having counselors call and having faculty call. The thing that's going to compensate for our decline in enrollment in any given year is going to be retention. We got to figure out how to keep the students that are here in the classroom. I think I probably mentioned to many of you when I was at Ivy Tech, I had certain faculty who had literally a 90% retention rate. And I'd ask them, so, how do you do that? They basically said, I tell them, you're leaving this class over my dead body. You're not leaving. You're in this for a reason. This is going to change your life, and you got to figure out how to overcome life's hurdles, whether it's now or when you get into the real world and you have a job. It's a matter of helping people understand how to address this. Partly it's maturity, it's emotional intelligence, but it's also helping them to step back and say, you know what, you got to get out of this paradigm where you basically give up before you have given every option a chance. And oftentimes they don't know what the options are. And that's where we can come to the rescue. We can bring to the table ideas for how they can be persistent in the classroom. So all that to say, I'm thrilled to be here. I'm really excited about the future. I know it can be difficult recognizing the amount of change that we're experiencing. But again, although change can be difficult, it's critical. It's critical to our success. It's critical to the future. It's critical to Western New York that we change. So if anybody has any questions, I'm open to any questions. Also, I just want to highlight, again, last Tuesdays of every month, I'm going to have from 2:30 to 3:30 at least an open session.
Dave?
Yep.
Hi.
Hi.
So we're embarking on a new, well, obviously administration, and we're also changing up the SUNY Erie Excels, right? Like we're going to be rewriting those this coming year.
We're working on the
It's actually going to be on the agenda.
Yeah, okay.
So
I
we'll
just-
discuss it when we get to that point under new
Okay.
business.
Thank you.
No problem.
So, fantastic point. And, it goes back to this idea of us stepping back and saying, okay, what are we doing differently than we did last year or 2 years ago that's going to make a difference? Quite frankly, we all know that we've had resource constraints and resource actions that were critical. I'll tell you, when I was at Ivy Tech in Indiana, we didn't have counselors following up with, students who were flagged in Starfish. That was the faculty's responsibility. They owned the program. They owned those classes. They were responsible for saying, look, we're either going to live or die by how successful I am in keeping people in this curriculum. So, I understand your point. And, at times we did use Perkins dollars to hire part-time people to follow up. But, we never had full-time counselors. And, again, the retention can be significantly affected by the attitude of the faculty. And make no mistake, I know we've got fantastic faculty. And, the challenge we all have is we all have lives and we get distracted at times. But at the end of the day, a lot of our students are first generation. They're immigrants. They, might not have a home life that's equitable to what, you might have. And we're probably one of the most stable forces that can be in their lives. And if we're not breathing into them how to be successful, no one is. And being successful, again, is being able to stick it out when, the going gets rough. Yeah, you've got problems with, different things. And look, I can empathize. We've all gone through it. We've all had challenges. But the things that have differentiated us is that we figured out how to overcome them. And we've got to, again, leverage that expertise, that training, that experience to help our students. Because I want our students to be sought after by local businesses because they know they're going to have great attendance records at work. They're going to come on time. They're going to have the emotional intelligence to know how to be successful and how to make their employees successful. So, again, the impact that you're having is phenomenal. And, I know it's a stretch to ask you to have a greater impact, but, we've got to, especially recognizing we've got students coming off the COVID years that, are struggling academically more so than ever before. We've got a perfect storm of challenges, but this is the team that's going to make it happen. And by the way, if you've got ideas, I'm all ears. I'm into collaboration. I'm into trying to figure out how to help each other as best possible in order for us all to be successful. That means sharing best practices, sharing anything and everything we can in order to try to figure out how to get a leg up moving forward.
Thank you. I'm going to let you off the hook so we can get through some of the other things that'll probably also answer additional questions that people might have. Thank you, Dr. Balkan. All right, so we did hit quorum while we were going through the reports. And so at this time, I would like to take a motion to approve the minutes from June 2022. Gordy, thank you. Second? Michael Higgins. Any discussion on the minutes? Any objections? Okay, so the motion carries and the minutes are approved. Okay, next up we have Governance Committee, Michael Rio.
We do not have a governance report, but we do have an election that we would like to address. There's a voting liaison vacancy, so anyone who is currently a non-voting liaison would be eligible to self-nominate or be nominated as long as they are AAECC members. We'll try to run that election electronically before the next Senate meeting. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Michael. Is there any non-voting liaisons that would like to self-nominate from the floor that are with us? Would you mind going to the microphone?
Hi, Cheryl Duquette.
Great, thank you, Cheryl. Anyone else at this time? Okay, if there are non-voting liaisons that are not currently here that wish to self-nominate, you may email governance@ecc.edu, and we will put together an electronic ballot that'll be out in the next week or so, and it'll be complete by the end of, before the next meeting. We also had 5 Senate spots that were open, which you could see from the beginning of our presentation. We had some retirements and things like that from the college. So since we were not in a regular voting cycle, we had 5 individuals from the departments that were left vacant that are going to be appointed as senators for the rest of the academic year. These individuals, if they want to run for seats in the next election cycle, may do so. So those are Colleen Ongst, Rosa Gonzalez, Jessica Hoppy, Connie Zemicki, and Elizabeth Zivas. I'd like to take a motion to approve these appointments. Michael Rio, second. Jackie Bossman. Any questions or discussion? Any objections? Okay, they are approved by consent. Congratulations, and we'll see you ladies in October. Chancellor's Awards. Jackie Bossman and Erica Hendra are our committee chairs for faculty awards.
So I get to start with the happy news, right? We've got another round of Chancellor's Awards coming up. The only deadline for the fall is for adjunct teaching. So that is, yay, technology. That's Tuesday, November 8th. Jackie and I will close nominations by October 8th. So we need about a month because it's a pretty big packet that we have to put together. The reviewing committee is going to expand and contract as needed. So if anyone is interested in serving on the Chancellor's Award Reviewing Committee, you can email me at hendrae.ecc.edu, or you can email Jackie, and we'll kind of put together a giant master list. And then as we move forward to the spring, which is where we have 5 different categories that we have to get nominations for: faculty service, librarianship, professional service, scholarship and creative arts, and teaching. Each of those reviewing committees will need to have people on them. So for example, if we get a librarian nominated to here, we're gonna need a librarian, obviously, to work with us on that, because we can't judge that work. So I'm kind of putting it out there now. We've got some time to get the big master list together, but October 8th, adjuncts. So take a look at your adjuncts. Who's doing really great work? Who do you want to get nominated? And we'll put that together. I'll make sure Colleen has those dates to put out in the Senate recap so you guys have, you remember it, because I know you're going to walk out of here and be like, whoosh, right out of sight, out of mind. Any questions about chancellors?
Michael?
Is there a minimum number of years of service for adjuncts?
Do you know what? I'm going to have to look through the giant packet of stuff they sent me to find out about that. Can you email me that question?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. So I'll also include the awards that are going to be for February, but we also know February is going to be, what, like 3 weeks into the spring semester? So really these are some awards that we need to be thinking about in October and November. So, you know, put your thinking hats on. We have amazing team members, which we've highlighted even earlier today. We had a bunch of people that retired that never got Chancellor's Awards, and I'm kind of kicking myself like, man, you know, I wish it didn't fall off the radar and that deserve different Chancellor's Awards. We have a bunch of people that work hard for our students and for our college that are worthy of this award. So start putting your thinking caps on, work within your departments, nominate people that you work with, and let's show Suny how we shine. Middle States update, Catherine Callisto.
So this last week, 9/1, the Middle States report team submitted the report, the follow-up report, and all of its evidence. I want to thank over 50 constituents across all of our campuses, all divisions, and all units for participating in that work. Our team's major work focused on improving the college-wide input and analysis in our assessment practice, something that hadn't been done since the 2018 kind of Nuventive launch. We had never really gone back and looked at what we were doing, what was working, and what was not working. We revised the assessment mentor program, so we'll have some new mentors that will be introduced later this semester. We revised planning and assessment policy through the help of shared governance. We revised the accreditation chair, which is an FFECC position. It used to be called the Middle States Chair. And now, working with FFECC leadership, we have an FFECC accreditation chair, and that person is Jacqueline Bossman. So I'd like to introduce her to everybody. She'll be helping all accredited programs across the campus, not just on Middle States. So I think that's a huge bonus because we'll get a wealth of information from all accreditation bodies and allow that to affect the work that we have throughout our programs. We updated the college's assessment plans and processes, and while going through that, we interviewed end users who may have had good luck working in Nuventive and some that were a little challenged by working in Nuventive. And we also reimagined the interface of Nuventive. So if you've been in Nuventive in the academic assessment side of Nuventive, you might see an interface change. Please don't panic. We're going to send some help out to educate you on how to use that new platform. We had that reviewed by about 7 people across campus in all the different divisions. And most of our hardest cases in terms of complaining about Nuventive, and they all liked it. So I'm hopeful that you all will appreciate that change. And I want to thank Dr. Kane for doing all the work with Nuventive on that. She did a great lift on that work. The other things that we've addressed is we revised our unit review process. So our accredited programs, our health science, our nursing, our ABET programs, and our culinary programs, any program that has academic assessment as part of their accreditation, that accreditation process will serve as your unit review process moving forward. It is expected that the IREP office works in tandem with you on that so that we're aware of all of the needs that your department has, but that will reduce your kind of labor on the other end, making sure that we are providing you with the support that you need. That's effective immediately, yes. So, Kristen, are you happy? Yes. I take coffee, by the way. No, I'm kidding. We also established a guide to assessment at Suny Erie. So there is a team with Dr. Kane again and Andrew Heisey from General Education put together a assessment guide. Sabrina's focusing mostly on academic assessment, and then Andy's working mostly on general education and developing the rubrics that we can use for the new general education program being launched from Suny. So a lot of work went into that. You're probably wondering when and how you can get your hands on all of this information. We are meeting with, I met with the deans last week, and this week we will be meeting with deans and department chairs to share the assessment guide, to talk about next steps and how we are going to aid in the maturation of our assessment process here at the college. And finally, we will have our virtual visit in October 3rd and 4th.
Just to go back on the accreditation of the health sciences and other program, when we talk about we are going to use that as a unit review, it's the work that they do. So it's not that they're not doing the work, is that I think in the past, we were just having them do double the work. So they are doing that work for the accreditation, so we're using that. So they're doing the work. I just want to be clear on that. They're not being excused.
Great, thank you very much. Any questions regarding Middle States? All right, we'll look forward to how the virtual visit goes when we talk about it again in our October meeting. Half-semester courses, and I think this will also probably address some of Kim's questions from earlier. Jason Steinitz or Dave Uzinski?
Well, either one. The half-semester courses, currently for this semester, we have about 3 or 4 of them in a late start. We had a few sequences run this semester, first half and second half semester, so those are there. It was kind of a fight coming into fall, not in the sense that anyone was opposing them. It was just that there was so much going on with the schedule and a lot of chaos surrounding that. And so a lot of them just got lost in the shuffle. So if you, as a department, if you tried to offer something for the fall and it didn't happen, try again in the spring, and hopefully this will be a little bit more coordinated and a clearer process than it was last time around. I will not be handling the half-semester courses, at least for this semester. I think Dave Uzinski has graciously agreed to take over for at least for now. So he should be your point person for any questions you have about the courses. I've also had departments ask me if we're going to add any courses for this semester for the late start. And I know the counselors that I've talked to and the advisors have really been requesting a science course because students need a science, and we just have not done that yet. We've done mostly social science and humanities and English courses. So if anybody has an interest in doing that in a science program, please let Dave know so that we can hopefully get that going. And the other thing that we need to pay attention to is getting the word out about these classes, because that's been one of the big hurdles. How do we let students know? How do we let faculty know? Okay. So Dave, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to that.
I'm right behind you. Hi, everyone. No, I think you said pretty much everything that needs to be said. I'd like to see, Jason and I kind of work together just to become more efficient in terms of how these courses are scheduled so that it's not always like last minute type adding classes to the schedule. And I think once we start doing that with the rollover and things, it'll become more efficient in that way. So, but success for those students has been huge. Like, it really has helped students graduate if they needed to withdraw from a class. So I'd love to see the program continue. And the model is not dissimilar than what's running at Northlands, and Northlands has had huge success with running half-semester courses.
Jason?
One more thing, I just thought of this. I've had a few questions about the late start courses that are in the schedule for fall. They're capped at 0. That doesn't mean they're not there or that they're not running. It means that we are trying to funnel students through advisors to gain permission so that they get appropriate information about what they're getting into, what it means, what the structure is, the difference in the time frame. We don't want people just randomly signing up for this. So that's why the 0 cap is there. They have to talk to somebody before they can get entrance into the class. So just so everybody knows that.
Great.
They're
Who is
still
the
there.
contact for that if I had a question as a faculty member?
The 2 counselors that we've worked with in the past and who are willing to continue this, even though their jobs are mounting, is Amy Pistron-Faust and Susan McLaughlin. And then, of course, your academic advisor should be involved in this as well. So that's another possible. But the academic advisor should be working with the counselors to make sure that students know what they're getting into. And they've done a fantastic job with getting the right students into these courses.
Awesome, thank you. Michael?
Can we state on the floor what courses are being offered right now, a 7.5 week?
There's a cultural anthropology and 102. There's HI 101, which is American History 1. There's an HU 100, which is human interaction. And we are still talking about the possibility of adding an English 100 or an English 101 or 102. And I'm not sure about humanities, if they want to put something into the schedule for a late start. But those are the only ones we had because things got lost in the process with scheduling. Thank you.
All right, so we're going to move on to new business. So something that we have been working on through the College Senate is moving the academic committees of the college underneath the College Senate, which is our central academic governance body. So far last year, we moved general education as well as college-wide curriculum committee. And what we're working on now, we proposed at first in June, sent out a draft, got lots of feedback over the summer, worked with the provost's office to develop an academic standards committee underneath the College Senate. Before we can have discussion on the matter, I'm going to need a motion to approve the bylaw change that will include Academic Standards Committee as a College Senate committee. Jason Steinitz, second. Amy Yoder. Okay, so for discussion on the matter, I'm going to limit discussion to voting senators. While we appreciate all the guests that are here, we have 21 minutes left, and we're going to go with voting senators. I'm going to go through this really quickly as far as some changes. So Section 1 highlights the purpose of the overall committee. The committee has several components. There is an executive committee, and then there are also standing subcommittees that will participate in some of the specific items listed in the purpose. We have had an academic standards committee in the past, and that academic standards committee's charge was to work with probation and dismissals, but then it also eventually started working on academic policy. So the thought behind this is to make sure that we keep them in separate houses, allow the subcommittee to continue doing the work of academic standards with probation, dismissals, et cetera. And while the academic components that refer to curriculum stay under the academic side of this committee. This committee will assist college-wide curriculum, academic assessment, and general education in the involving process of curricular exploration, development, and revision. Okay, so membership. Membership is of the overall. I have the red line version up. We will be voting on the non-red line version, but I want everyone to be able to see what the changes are. It went from 6 teaching faculty members to 4, with the idea there's 4 divisions, 1 person per division. 1 department chair or head. Now with department chair or head, that is defined as anyone who is a department chair / head. So FFECC or AAECC of an academic department. To be the elected senator for department chair, you have to say, I'm there as the department chair and not one of the 4 divisions. So it's separate from the 4 divisions. Terms we changed to 1 year, but with no term limits. And candidates can be full or part-time teaching faculty members, but do not need to be senators. We have 1 academic dean selected by the provost, 1 dean of students selected by the provost, and 1 representative from IRAP. So we have 5 teaching faculty, 3 administrators, and then either the provost or provost designee. Some language about vacancies and chairs. There will be a secretary appointed within the committee. Subcommittees. There will be a standing subcommittee that is Student Academic Standing Committee, and that is the committee that will be working on probation, academic standing, dismissal, appeal, readmissions, those items. That committee will be working specific to those. It will be a subcommittee of the Academic Standards Committee. It may propose its own membership and chair as that committee sees fit. We have requested that there will be at minimum, that there will be one appointee from the College Senate Chair, one from the Provost, and 2 counselors. So that'll be the minimum of the membership. Counselors have to be from different areas. So for example, not 2 admissions counselors. So one from either admissions, academics, student access, EOP, et cetera. And then a representative of the Academic Standards Committee executive team. Communication, it's the same communication that is outlined for general education and curriculum, college-wide curriculum committee. And Jackie's actually that's the next item on the agenda to make sure everyone's on the same page as far as communication. So I took you through what's up for the proposal, questions and comments. Do you need me to scroll to something specific if you have questions? It's also posted on the website. Okay, so it is a bylaw change, and I'm not comfortable doing it by consent. So as long as there's no comments or questions, I'm going to have Erica send out the vote. Is everyone able to access it? I didn't think about putting a computer out there for anyone having troubles. We're good? Okay. All right, so one abstention, no no's, and 29 yes. So the motion passes. We have a new bylaw change. We will, if you're interested in serving on this committee or the subcommittees, please email collegesenate@ecc.edu or quinn@ecc.edu. And our goal is going to be to try and get a committee together for confirmation of the Senate for the October meeting. Back to new business. Jackie Bossman.
Hi, everybody. Okay, this is quick. It's just a reminder to the committees. Please submit your minutes to the Senate executive officers by the end of the 3rd Friday each month. That's when it provides basically enough time for the minutes to be included on the agenda if there are important agenda items. And also, another point, in order to remain committed to the improvement of our governance structure, the Senate Executive Committee will be setting goals for this academic year. And those goals will function basically as as points of measurement for self-evaluation. And I would like to encourage the committees to do something similar for the 2022-2023 academic year, if you haven't already been doing some form of self-evaluation, and to please share your committee's goals with the college community. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Jackie. All right, and then what you've all been waiting for, Starfish. Amy Yoder.
Didn't really think this was going to be the most exciting part of everybody's day, but I'm happy to oblige, right? So yay, it's working, so that's good. That's step one. We do have a couple documents. Colleen, would you mind pulling up the Starfish updates for fall 2022?
Was that on my email?
Just to kind of give you a little bit of background on this, the Starfish Advisory Council did some amazing work over the last year and a half. And in working with EAB and looking at our usage, as well as some of the staff changes that we've had, a couple determinations that we did do was, from an efficiency standpoint, change some of the flags that were in the system. For example, disabling ones that really we weren't using. I don't have to go through this whole thing because it is posted on the College Senate website, but giving you an idea of a couple new flags that we've added. For example, the orientation flag. Our online orientation is up and running. We've had almost 1,000 students participate in orientation since July 1, which is huge, bigger than we've done before. So if you have students that are coming in your class and saying, I'm really not getting this, or I'm not understanding how to do this, or navigate things, first and foremost, encourage them to participate in the online orientation. Or you can also raise a flag in Starfish, which will directly contact our orientation office. Referrals to tutoring, that's one of the things. Kathy did some great work on this, as well as the tutoring department, of looking at flags that were raised for students that need tutoring support. We saw a direct correlation to student success with the students that had a flag raised that actually went to tutoring. So these are some of the flags that we're trying to support and help. Couple things that we changed, kind of to your point, Kristen, which was a great point. There's flags that were in there that what was a counselor going to do from a participation standpoint, right? And counselors were getting inundated with flags that really should be handled on the instructional level. We have changed that direction so that those flags are not only a reminder to the student saying, hey, you better participate in class, but also for the faculty member to keep track of what's going on with that student as well. Now, it doesn't mean the counselors can't see those flags, but they're not alerted to them to the same degree. We're really looking for efficiency with Starfish, and I think that's one of the things where we've always found it to be more noise than what, not maximizing the product and the service that the software provides to the full potential. So one of the things we're also looking at is prioritizing the cohorts of students that we have in the system, which includes prioritizing our probation students first, and then our first generation students as well, so that we're maximizing the counselor's time with that, so that they know the students that need to really contact as soon as possible. We will be meeting with EAB next week again to do some more follow-ups with them, and then we'll also be having some information sessions to our staff so that they're able to ask questions and talk to us a little bit more about some of the functionalities of Starfish. Some of the cool things that we're not utilizing is setting appointments, for example. That is definitely an amazing option that a faculty can utilize too. So it's something I'd like to see that we implement here. The other sheet that we have up to gives better descriptions of our flags too, so that everybody has a better understanding of what a level 1 flag means, what a level 2 flag means, and what happens at a level 3, and who is responsible for the flag response too. You'll see some changes, again, with some things, and we consolidated some of the flags. For example, we had a participation concern. We also had a performance concern. We've consolidated some of those so that they're under the same flag as opposed to having multiples. So if you scroll down, you'll see the flag descriptions and the workflows as well. Well, we also have this posted on the Starfish My ECC portal page, and we also have a Teams site that anyone can look at and get tutorials and information on how to utilize Starfish to the best of its abilities. So you can see we still have our kudos in there. We're not doing enough with that. We need to praise our students for the amazing work that they're doing as well. So that'll be one of the hot button topics that the advisory group will be talking about it too. How do we better celebrate our students' successes? But if anybody has any questions, or if there is technical issues, I encourage you to please put in an ITS flag. We will respond to it as soon as possible, but so far so good. We're seeing some good progress this week.
Great. Thank you, Amy. Any questions regarding Starfish for Amy? All right, I just want to also say with the kudos, my students love it, especially the online students. The seated like it too, but the online, you don't have the same back and forth where the student comes in and you can, hand back the test and be like, hey, great job. So the kudos I have found has been a good tool for me to connect with my online students on a little bit more of a personal level. And so I plan to definitely take advantage of that. Who doesn't want to get a little pat on the back going, hey, I see you, I see your effort. You are doing good, So definitely take advantage of that. Okay, so it is 3:54.
Could I just comment on that? And
sure.
I think that's a fantastic initiative to send out the kudos. Interestingly, when I was at my previous college, we found out that 72% of the automatic communications to students were negative. And, to us be proactive in trying to figure out how to identify, how to give kudos, how to pat them on the back and encourage them, I think is critical. So, hopefully working with Erickson, we can figure out how to minimize the negative and focus on the positive because, again, we need to help our students recognize the great work they're doing and the critical work they're doing in order to change the trajectory of their lives. So, thanks.
Yeah, no, absolutely. After every test, not that I'm awesome, but I'm going to point this one out. Like after every test for anyone that got an 80 or above, I just pulled up Starfish and you have your grade book right there. You just bing, 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 bing. It's just a button. You just hit the button and then hit save and it just goes out. It's pretty easy and takes just a few seconds. So definitely worth it, especially for our student morale and retention, which is obviously something that we all need to work on together. So with that, our next meeting is going to be in October, which summer is going to be over. I feel like I knew summer was coming to an end because I have zucchinis and tomatoes coming out of every container in my backyard. I don't even know what to do with all of this. So if anyone needs things from my garden, let me know. I've got loads and loads of zucchinis and tomatoes and lots of basil. But summer's coming to a close. We're going to be moving into October, which is going to be moving us also right into midterms. But October is an exciting time. We have all of our sports teams are doing great things. We have a lot of student engagement activities, so please make sure you're paying attention to those screens in the hallways to see different things that are going on for our students so we can support them outside of the classroom. And, Middle States will have our update for that. So October is going to be a big month. It's going to be exciting. Our open house is in October, just loads and loads of things, and Halloween, which is pretty awesome. But that's just me. But we will see you all in October. Have a lovely, lovely day. Keep up the good work at the beginning of the semester. We know it's hard. And if you need help or are like, oh my gosh, this thing, shoot me an email. We all troubleshoot, and I'm happy to help anybody troubleshoot any of the things. Have a great day, everyone. Thanks.